My shoot today is a white seamless in a hotel room in Chicago, which required quite a few light stands to come with me from Boston to here to set all this up. In this video, I'm going to compare three very similar compact travel light stands that I used here. They're all great, but they have a lot of differences, including price, and not every travel light stand that I've purchased has been a winner. So my three criteria for these light stands are load capacity, how compact can they get, and how much do they cost. So starting out with load capacity, this one's actually pretty easy. All three of these stands are rated for 22 pounds, according to their respective manufacturers. In my searching, light stands tend to be rated for somewhere between 17 and 25 pounds, with 22 being the most common. And that 25-pound load capacity light stand you will find is probably made out of something like steel, which is extremely heavy and not very travel friendly. So 22 pounds is great and is actually the same rating that I have on my C-stands. So let's test how each of these three stands holds up to a mid-size LED Cobb light like the 300D Mark II with a full-size light dome. The knobs on the Kupo are the same style of knob that you would expect to see on a C-stand. They probably are the same knobs you will see on a Kupo C-stand. So that is fully extended at 9 feet on the Kupo, and you can see it's bowing a little bit to the right. It's not totally straight. Just to make it a little bit more difficult, I'm going to take off the ballast. The one feature that's unique to the Kupo is the removable center column. Let's see, I've never actually done this. All right. I'm not sure why I would want to do that, but I'm sure there's some reason. All right, let's move down the line to Manfrotto, which is probably the most popular of these three. I know personally I've seen a lot of colleagues with this particular stand. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm assuming these other brands kind of emulated this design or took heavy inspiration from it because it is such an ingenious way to get a compact travel light stand. But anyway, let's see how the Manfrotto holds up. Definitely bowing a little bit. Definitely feels a little cheaper. These knobs are made of plastic, it seems, unlike the metal on the Kupo stand. The width of the base seems to be just about the same on all of these. I've tested a lot of light stands that are rated for high load capacities, but have very small, narrow bases. So then any little bump will tip it over. This impact stand, these knobs feel very sturdy, but they are very small. They're a little bit tougher on your fingers to get tight. That seems to be performing very well. I'd say that probably looks the best out of all three from my eyes. I'll show you in post the comparison of their bend. All right, so category number 2, how compact can they get? The stand from Impact and Manfrotto are pretty much identical. The Kupo is a bit beefier, but not by that much. All three of these stands are great in this respect because they have basically the same design, which not only gets you super thin, but also interlocks if you have more than one of the same brand, which makes carrying them around a lot more efficient. And lastly, price. So the Impact Link interlocking air cushioned 9-foot stand goes for $86. Compare that to the Manfrotto, which is $168. I've seen the Manfrotto on sale for like $120. I think it was around that when I picked it up. The Kupo is sitting right in the middle around $130. So if you're buying a set of 3 or 6 of these light stands, it obviously can add up. So let's go back to our starting criteria. Starting with load capacity, they all perform well. In the second category, the Impact and the Manfrotto have the slight edge over the Kupo. And for the third category of price, Impact is the clear winner. So on paper, it does look like the Kupo scored the worst. However, I have to say personally, it feels the best. It feels very rugged. It kind of seems like Kupo made a baby out of a C-stand and a light stand, which inspires a lot of confidence when you're setting it up. But because it's a little bit thicker and heavier, and I'm always battling to get my cases under 100 pounds when I'm flying, that just makes the heaviest stand out of these three is automatically going to be less appealing to me for that reason. On the way here, actually, I had an issue where one of my 3 cases was over 100 pounds, but I kind of lucked out because the agent had me put all 3 of my cases on the scale at once. So together they were about 280 pounds, but I know one of them was only 50. So that means my third one was well over 100, but he seemed to just kind of take an average of the three, luckily. So got by without having to repack at the airport with everyone watching you in line. So I also need to mention the different height options. All three of these are 9-foot variations, but every brand makes a 7-foot, a 9-foot, and a 12-foot for the most part. Typically, when you go from 7 feet to 9 feet, it gets more expensive. And when you go from 9 feet to 12 feet, it gets more expensive. But for payload, if you go from 7 foot to 9 foot, it can hold a lot more weight. But when you go from 9 foot to 12 foot, the load capacity on these light stands actually decreases slightly or stays the same depending on the manufacturer. So if you need to get fixtures really, really high very frequently, then it's probably worth spending the extra 20 bucks or so per stand to get the 12-foot variation. But just be aware that you're not going to be able to hold heavier lights with those stands, just higher lights. And quick honorable mention I want to make. This stand from iCan, it's an iCan heavy duty, is only $50 compared to the, $80 to $160 that all of these ones are. And it's really rugged and I really like it. It does not have the same compact folding design as the other three, but I can definitely recommend this stand if your case is deeper and not longer, because you can fit a lot of light stands in a cheap case like this that's stubbier. So I had the silliest email conversation with JetBlue, because unlike every other airline where you can just show them your media pass, JetBlue requires you to email them a few business days ahead of time with how many bags you're bringing. So I did that, and they responded and said, "We regret to inform you that your application has been denied because based off the website you provided, we could not confirm that you were part of a news media organization." And they pasted a link to their guidelines, and I clicked on the link, and the link says a media pass will be accepted to anyone in a news organization or in a commercial video production business. And I said, okay, we are a production business. Can you please revise your assessment? And they emailed me back and said, we are delighted to inform you that we will accept your request. So nobody at these airlines understands their own rules, or they don't inform the people who say yes or no on what their own rules even are. So you guys just have to know what the rules are so that you can inform them of the rules when they inevitably tell you the wrong thing. And of course, I don't actually pay for these bags, my client does, but if I can save my client a couple $100s, I will, because I'm just nice like that. In case you're curious, this is for sound because there's a kitchen in the hotel right on the other side of that wall. So I asked the front desk for some blankets to help a little bit. So to wrap up this video, I love the Impact stand the most. It's the lightest, it can hold the same amount of weight, and it's a good deal cheaper. If I could go back in time and buy 3 or 6 of this stand, I totally would. But this video did not exist earlier this year when I was in the market, so I had to do my own research.